And look at this.
This got me tight. I had asked for years for Balrog to have a cross-up, right? Balrog was a super strong character in Street Fighter V, and he was okay in 4 at the end. But, you know, one of his weaknesses for having such a strong ground game is that his air game was weaker, and he had no cross-up, which actually made getting out of the corner really difficult sometimes. And people would always tell me, oh, he only has punches. He can't punch behind his head. Punches can't cross up.
Well, did you know he once did, kind of? In ST, Boxer was able to use his jump roundhouse or fierce as a pseudo cross-up. The thing is, it doesn't require you to block the other way. It might sound weird from a contemporary perspective, but in Super Turbo it's pretty common for moves that visually look like cross-ups to be blocked the same side. That's because how the game defines cross-ups is a little different from the modern standard. Typically to cross up, you need to jump over the opponent, have this point which designates your position on the screen go past theirs, and hit with a jumping attack. Pretty simple stuff. In ST, however, you need to be 24 pixels past the opponent for it to cross up. And on top of that, you need at least a frame for it to update. So basically, if you hit the opponent on the exact frame your jump is 24 pixels away from this point, it will still be a fake cross-up. Now in theory, this design decision should make cross-ups less ambiguous. You can't do the Street Fighter 4 style mix where you aim yourself at the top of their head so the opponent can't tell which side you're on. But in reality, it just moves the point of ambiguity slightly along. The extra frame in which you have to be past that point, however, does help. Due to this system, Balrog can't cross up his standing opponents. These buttons have no hitbox behind him, meaning that if he does get over you, the point which signifies your screen positioning will always be too close to the opponent. This, however, doesn't make the technique useless. Of course, it's pretty good for screen positioning. He can land these fake cross-ups on a decent portion of the cast, and from a lot of his knockdowns. Being able to swap sides with the opponent can be fantastic if you find yourself landing a hit with your back to the corner. Where it really shines though, is in specific matchups. Dictator in this game has pretty weak defense, that is until he has meter. His super is +4 on block and has 18 frames of invulnerability. It has some specific flaws, but as a get off me tool, it's pretty fantastic and becomes a huge consideration for Boxer trying to assert some Oki. The fake cross up limits its utility, in part due to it hitting from the same side. If a Dictator does a reversal super, it will go the wrong way. If he blocks the jump in, it's our turn. We can use the jabs to create a true string, and after he won't have any charge for super because we're landing behind him. If we're precise, we can push him outside of the range of his own throw and keep him within ours, allowing for a free tick throw. I generally really love this whole setup. Boxer, at least in ST, doesn't need a cross-up. He's already got gross mix-ups with just his throw. But by giving him a fake cross-up, Capcom accidentally gave him a way to engage with charged opponents on a knockdown. One that isn't simply just block. And I can imagine a world where that would be useful in a modern fighter too. Now, he might not have any true cross-ups, but he does have cross-unders. Everyone's seen it, but post-throw, Boxer is able to walk under his opponent and while they land, cross under them, resulting in a meaty that either needs to be thrown or reversaled. He's got a fake too. You can simply just walk back under the opponent and hit them with a lovely little same side sweep. It requires the same counterplay, but is honestly pretty damn hard to react to, because he can crouch, changing his push box, creating some really visually messed up stuff. If you've actually played the game, you'll know that versus some characters like Fei Long, he can actually get a safe jump off the throw, which is fantastic for taking away some of the common counterplay against the mix-ups. What you might not have seen, however, is what's possible in the corner, the cross-under turnaround punch. Now this should not work. It is a mix of different Super Turbo oddities. If we look at Zangief, when crouching, his hurtbox goes far past its push box. When we cross under, if we slow it down, we can see that before Gief's sprite turns around, his hurtboxes do. After we throw Zangief in the corner, we walk forward a small bit, release tap, and we hit Zangief's extended hurtboxes because we are not pushing him out. If timed correctly, we can land this as a meaty and touch of death. Now, similar to the other cross under options, he can throw this. Hell, he can just stand up and then punish. But as a gimmick, the reward is pretty good, so I wouldn't call it completely useless. These expanded hurt boxes on crouching characters set up other amazing cross unders too, like the reverse sweep against Sagat, a totally unnecessary but completely sick looking piece of tech. Possible once again due to his crouching push box being further back and also his very specific falling speed. Ultimately, all these little touches of nuance are what makes Super Turbo a unique and lasting game. They all offer interactions you won't find anywhere else, and exploring them even decades later is a joy. It's that tiny bit of spice added to the game that inspires you to hit training mode again and again. So this was meant to be the point in which this video ended. But in the process of asking Brian F if it was okay for me to use the clip of him in the intro, he informed me that there was new tech with Balrog in Street Fighter 4. Crossup tech. This is Evo Japan's 2025 Street Fighter 4 winner Ushi Oni, a Balrog main who is still to this day innovating. This tech is not easy, it is very tight and very specific. He posted a couple of examples on Twitter, but the one that caught my eye is the one versus Dictator, because it's weird. Weird in a way that's actually pretty similar to the ST turnaround punch cross under. Now, before we get into it, I don't speak any Japanese, so my conclusions around how this works are my own. They're informed by the videos he posted and sometime in the lab, but that does mean I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but take my findings with a pinch of salt. If you were to right now go into training mode in Street Fighter 4, pick Balrog versus Dictator and try to land a cross up, you won't be able to do it. This is because the button used, jump roundhouse, hits way in front of Balrog, and Dictator's hurtbox is actually pretty thin. That is until he blocks. When he goes into guard, you can see that his hurtbox actually expands behind him, and this is what allows for a cross up, because it is essentially moving back into the jump roundhouse. After sweeping him from this particular distance, you can dash forward and jump roundhouse. If the Dictator is holding back, you'll cross him up. However, if he just stands there, the Balrog will whiff and can be punished. Now, Ushi Oni shows some setups from practical situations, but it is so range specific. A hair further away and it hits the same side. Too close and it whiffs entirely. It's about as ambiguous as it gets, but not for the faint of heart. So Capcom may have never given Balrog a cross up, but that still hasn't stopped us from finding them.